Welcome back to STL Live. I'm Sarah Bernard, and my guest is Adam Wright, who is the president of the Southampton Neighborhood Association. We've been talking about this really wonderful gem of a neighborhood, Southampton, that is 1 square mile, 7,000 residents. I've got it down.
All right.
I'm learning from you. So you've been there 7 years. I know your wife grew up in the area. You were kind of new to it 7 years ago. So in the course of the 7 years that you've been there, how have you seen the neighborhood change?
Well, when we first moved in, it was a very quiet neighborhood. Not in a bad way, but, you'd see the typical things, people out walking their dogs, walking their kids, and great camaraderie among the neighbors. Everyone always stops to say hello. But essentially in the heart of the neighborhood, we had the corner bar, now Stan's Bar. We had Macklind Avenue Deli, which was a good place to go to get a sandwich with your family. And we had a little bakery cafe that shortly closed right after we moved in. Since then, now you can walk up Macklind Avenue and it'd be hard not to find a place to go eat. We've got some great restaurants like Copper Pig, Russell's on Macklind, Grape Seed, one of my all-time favorites. And it seems like the neighborhood has just really grown incredibly strong in that time. It was already strong to begin with, but for instance, since we moved in, the average time a house sits on the market before it sells in our neighborhood is about 4 days. So it's definitely grown stronger.
Yeah, and what kinds of, you've got a young family, little kids. Is that typical for what you're seeing?
I would say we have a very good mix. We have a lot of young families with young children. We have a lot of senior residents. We have a lot of young couples. We have a lot of millennials. We have renters. We have pretty much every resident you could look for in a neighborhood.
And that's nice to have such a nice mix.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so history of the neighborhood. So, and you were mentioning in the last segment that there is somebody who's actually writing a book about the history. Or is it a committee?
It's a committee headed up by Den Polly, our secretary. They've done a lot of hard work.
So what are some of the things that they've discovered about the history of the neighborhood that's interesting or a surprise?
One of the things we get a lot of questions about, and we're actually in the middle of a traffic study, so this comes up, is Wherry Avenue is the only diagonal street throughout the entire neighborhood. Everything else is a very nice and square grid. Why is that street like that? Well, not a lot of our residents know that used to be a creek, and that was the solution, was we'll just cover the creek and put a road on it. My favorite houses in the neighborhood are in the northeast corner. That's where you'll find the oldest houses and the most architecturally interesting. And that goes back to when there was a clay mine right across Kings Highway. People ask about one of our alleys. Why is there an alley that looks like a boulevard with a grassy strip down the middle? And that actually used to be one of the clay mine railroads going right down the alley.
Really? So was all of this discovered in writing the book by?
I wouldn't say discovered. I would say finally written down and passed on to the residents who weren't around at that time.
Yeah, that's very interesting. All right, and you are, as president of the Neighborhood Association, you have regular meetings.
We do.
And everyone's invited.
So our primary meetings, we have our general association meetings on the second Wednesday of the odd-numbered months, which gets to be a little hard to remember sometimes, but January, March, so on.
Yeah.
At those meetings, we have our alderwomen Donna Behringer and Carol Howard come from the 14th and 16th Ward. We have our liaison officers from the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. A representative from Congressman Lacey Clay's office comes out. Sometimes our state rep Michelle Kratke can be there if she's not in Jefferson City on business. We have speakers pretty much on any topic that could be of interest to our residents. So with all the work Metropolitan Sewer District's been doing, they've come to do a presentation on how that's going to affect our neighborhood. Really a great chance to bring the residents together and inform them to what's going on.
Do a lot of people come? It sounds very interesting.
It varies from month to month. We usually get about 50 to 100 residents to show up. We'd love to have more. And
I would say that sounds like a lot.
For a typical neighborhood, it is.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I know you have 7,000 residents, but to draw that many people to a neighborhood meeting with Adam presiding and your committees at work. Yeah. So what do you see in the near future? Any big news, changes, developments?
We're establishing some goals for the neighborhood. My term's going to be 2 years, and one of the things I'd really like to see is working with our neighborhoods next door, Bevo and Princeton Heights, to get a bluegrass festival off the ground.
Oh, neat. Is that a personal interest of yours?
Music is, and it seems to be something that's missing from the local music scene in the neighborhoods around us.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, and we've got Macklind Days coming up. End of the month, or one day? It's 1 day or 2 days?
1 day. So Saturday, September 24th.
Okay, 12 to 8 p.m. Food, fun, people, music. It's all there.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. For more information on Macklind Days or the Southampton Neighborhood Association, visit facebook.com/southampton.stl and go to macklindays.com for more information about that event. There's more STL Live after this. Stay with us.